They thought you'd forget, didn't they? Thought time would wash away the scars, make you weak, make you one of them. Another face in the crowd, another puppet with cut strings, another ghost drifting through life, afraid of their own reflection. They were counting on it, counting on your silence, your surrender. They figured you'd let it slide, let it rot inside you like an infection you refused to treat. But you didn't forget. You never forget. You carry the weight of every knife they twisted in your back, every lie they fed you with a smile, every moment you were left bleeding while they laughed. And now it's time for payback. Let's get one thing straight. This isn't about childish revenge. Oh no. Revenge is what weak men crave when their egos are bruised. This is about justice. The kind of justice the world never hands out because it's too busy protecting the guilty, making excuses for them, patting them on the back, while they trample over the ones who suffer in silence. They build their thrones out of your pain, sit there smugly, as if they earned it, as if the world was always meant to be theirs. But what happens when the foundation starts to crack? When the one they counted on to stay down finally stands up? What happens when the forgotten refuse to stay forgotten? I'll tell you what happens. Chaos. Beautiful, unforgiving chaos. The kind that doesn't knock before it enters, doesn't ask for permission, doesn't care about rules written by cowards. The kind that makes them afraid for the first time in their lives. You see, the strong don't fear justice. They welcome it because they know they can handle it. It's the guilty who tremble when they hear footsteps in the dark. It's the liars who sweat when the truth comes knocking. It's the backstabbers who start praying when they realize the person they buried isn't buried at all. But you already know that, don't you? You felt it. That slow burn in your gut. The quiet whisper in the back of your mind telling you it isn't over. Not by a long shot. You wake up every day carrying the weight of what they did. Feeling it press down on your chest like a stone that refuses to move. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still standing. They don't get it. They don't understand that suffering doesn't break people like you. It builds them. It sharpens them like a blade dragged across stone, turning them into something they can't control, can't predict, can't stop. Let me tell you a little secret. The worst thing they ever did wasn't betraying you. No. The worst thing they ever did was underestimating you. They thought pain would destroy you, but all it did was carve you into something they'll never be able to face without trembling. The world teaches people like you that you have two options: forgive and forget, or become the monster they always accused you of being. But there's a third option, the one they don't want you to realize exists. You don't forgive, And you don't become a mindless beast. You remember, you learn, you rise. And when the time is right, you act. See, people like them, they survive on comfort. They need the world to stay predictable, to keep their hands clean while others drown in the mess they created. They talk about morals, about fairness, about how you should be the bigger person. Funny, isn't it? How the ones who hurt you the most are always the first to preach about peace when they realize the game is changing. They want you docile, weak, chained by your own conscience while they walk free. But tell me, where was their conscience when they tore you apart? Where was their guilt when you were screaming inside, wondering why no one cared? No, they don't get to dictate the rules anymore. You do. But here's where most people mess up. They think justice is about lashing out, about screaming into the void, about making reckless moves just to prove they're alive. That's what fools do. You move smart. You let patience be your weapon, let silence be your shield. You watch, you wait. You make sure every step you take is the right one, not driven by blind rage, but by something sharper. You see, the best payback isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks and bloodshed. The best payback is a whisper that turns into a storm, a presence they can't shake, a shadow that stretches over them no matter how much light they surround themselves with. And when that moment comes, when the weight of their own sins comes crashing down on them, when the walls they built with lies start to crumble, when they look over their shoulder and realize the one person they never wanted to see again is standing right there. Oh, that's when it all makes sense. That's when the real fun begins. So tell me, are you ready? Are you ready to make them remember? Because they thought you'd forget, thought time would do their dirty work for them, thought you'd fade into the background like a ghost with no voice, no fight left, no reason to exist beyond the pain they left you with. But ghosts don't disappear, do they? They haunt, they linger, and sometimes they come back stronger than anyone ever imagined. It's time to remind them, time to show them exactly who they tried to bury. Because you never forgot, and neither will they. You know what the funny thing is? They walked away thinking it was over, thinking you were just another casualty, another name on their list of people who wouldn't make it, another lesson in their book of conquests. They smiled while you suffered, slept peacefully while you drowned in your own thoughts. And for a while, maybe you believed it too. Maybe you thought they won. Maybe you sat in the dark, fists clenched, wondering how people like them get away with everything, while people like you are left to pick up the broken pieces. But that's the thing about broken things. They can be rebuilt, stronger, sharper, deadlier. And now, here you are. Not a victim, not a statistic, not a footnote in someone else's story. You are the storm they thought would never come. You see, They operate on a simple formula: hurt, discard, move on. They expect you to collapse under the weight of it all, expect you to crumble like everyone before you. But what happens when the formula breaks? What happens when the one they left in the dirt doesn't just get back up, but stands taller, walks harder, breathes heavier? That's when panic sets in. That's when reality slaps them in the face. Because it was never about what they did to you. It was always about what you were going to do after. The ones who wronged you, they never feared your pain. Pain is predictable. Pain can be controlled. What they fear is what comes after the pain. What they fear is the moment you stop mourning and start moving. You've been silent long enough. You've let the world tell you how you should feel, how you should behave, how you should heal. But healing isn't about pretending. It's not about plastering over the cracks and calling it a day. No. Real healing is war. It's standing knee-deep in the wreckage and deciding, this is not where my story ends. It's picking up every shattered piece of yourself and forging something new, something unbreakable, something they never saw coming. And when you do, when you walk past the ruins of who you used to be and step into the fire of who you are, that's when the world takes notice. They will talk. Oh, they will talk. They'll call you obsessed, call you ruthless, call you too much. They'll whisper behind your back, spinning their own version of events, where they are the victims, where you are the villain, because that's what people like them do. They rewrite history to fit their own narratives. And you let them talk. Let them spin their little stories. Because words don't change reality. Reality is you. The undeniable, unshakable proof that they didn't break you the way they thought they did. Reality is watching them choke on their own arrogance when they realize that the same person they tossed aside is the same person they now fear. This isn't about getting even. Getting even means playing by their rules. No, this is about something bigger. It's about rewriting the rules entirely. It's about showing them that the past isn't a graveyard. It's a battlefield. And you're not just another casualty. You are the reckoning. The one thing they never prepared for, never expected, never thought they'd have to answer to. But they will. Oh, they will. Because life has a funny way of balancing the scales, doesn't it? And when the weight of their own actions comes back to haunt them, when the echoes of their choices start clawing at their minds, when they finally see your face and realize that their past mistakes have come knocking, that's when the real justice begins. But you must be smart. You must be patient. This isn't about rage. Rage is a fire that burns fast and dies just as quickly. You are the slow burn, the inevitable force, the shadow that moves in silence, watching, waiting, choosing when to strike. Because the worst kind of vengeance isn't the one they see coming. It's the one they never even realize is happening until it's too late. You don't chase them. You don't scream into the void, hoping they hear you. No, you build. You grow. You rise so high that their entire existence looks small in comparison. That's the real punishment. That's the real justice. They don't get to win. They don't get to walk away with the satisfaction of thinking they ruined you. And here's the best part. When they see you again, when they hear your name, when they realize you are still here, still standing, still winning, watch their faces. Watch the panic settle in. Watch the realization dawn on them like a slow, creeping nightmare. That's when you'll know. That's when you'll feel it. The power shifting, the balance tilting. Because for the first time in their lives, they will be the ones afraid. Afraid of the past. Afraid of the consequences. Afraid of you. So tell me, what will you do now? Now that the choice is in your hands. Now that the pain they caused no longer owns you. No longer controls you. Now that the scars they left aren't reminders of your suffering, but symbols of your survival. What will you do with the power they handed you the moment they thought you were too weak to fight back? Because this is your moment. They thought you'd forget, but now it's time for payback. And here's the thing about payback. It's not always loud. It's not a screaming match in the streets. It's not throwing fists, breaking bones, spilling blood in some dramatic showdown where you finally get your moment. Payback is silent. It's precise. It's the slow, creeping hand of consequence wrapping around their throat, squeezing tighter with every choice they made, every lie they told, every betrayal they thought would stay buried. Payback isn't about proving them wrong in the moment. It's about letting time do the talking, letting their own actions become the noose they tied for themselves. Because the truth always catches up. And when it does, it doesn't knock. It breaks down the door. You don't need to chase them. They will run in circles trying to outrun their own guilt, their own cowardice, their own past. They will see shadows where there are none, hear footsteps in the silence, feel eyes on them even when they're alone, because deep down, they know what they did, and they know no matter how much time passes, no matter how far they run, there will come a day when they have to answer for it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday they will feel it. The weight of every lie, every betrayal, every moment they let you suffer while they laughed. And when that day comes, when they wake up in a world where you are no longer beneath them but above them, watch them crumble. Watch the panic in their eyes as they realize the same person they dismissed, underestimated, destroyed, is now the same person they fear. And fear is the real punishment, not pain, not revenge, fear. that constant gnawing terror that lingers in the back of their mind, whispering, reminding, making them look over their shoulder even when no one's there. Fear isn't a moment, it's a lifetime. Fear is knowing that the past is never truly buried, that the ghosts of their sins will always come back, that the people they crushed under their feet will rise again. That's why people like them never find peace, because they know what they've done. They know they were wrong. And no matter how much they try to pretend otherwise, no matter how much they build their little illusions, there will always be that voice inside them, that whisper in the dark, telling them, you were never safe, and neither were you. For years, maybe even your whole life, you walked through the fire, wondering when it would end, wondering if you'd ever escape, wondering if the pain would ever go away. And you learned, didn't you? You learned that the world doesn't save people like you. The world doesn't care about fairness, about justice, about who deserves what. The world only cares about power. Who has it? Who controls it? Who is willing to do what it takes to take it back? And that's where they miscalculated. They thought you would stay powerless. They thought you would accept your place as the one who was hurt, the one who was forgotten, the one who would fade into nothing while they went on with their perfect little lives. But you didn't. You refused. You became. You see, suffering has a funny way of transforming people. It either breaks them or builds them. And you let it build you. Every betrayal became a lesson. Every scar became a symbol. Every moment of weakness became a foundation for something stronger, something unshakable, something they can't understand because they've never had to survive the way you did. They don't know what it's like to stare into the abyss and walk away stronger. They don't know what it's like to lose everything and still rise, but they will, because one day they will stand where you once stood. They will feel what you felt. They will understand what it means to be abandoned, betrayed, left with nothing but their own regrets. And when that day comes, you won't even have to lift a finger, because the weight of their own sins will do the work for you. And that's the part they'll never see coming. They expect you to be angry, to lash out, to scream for revenge like some mad dog foaming at the mouth. That's what they want. Because if you lose control, they win. If you let your emotions blind you, they get to paint you as the villain, as the crazy one, as the unstable one. But you're smarter than that. You don't give them that satisfaction. You don't waste your energy chasing ghosts when you can become something far more terrifying. You let your silence be the thing that haunts them. You let your growth be the answer to every question they never wanted to ask. You let your success be the only vengeance you ever need. Because the truth is, there's no greater punishment than watching the person they tried to break become untouchable. Watching the person they counted on to disappear become the one thing they can never escape. Watching you win. Not because of them, but in spite of them. So let them wonder. Let them lie awake at night, piecing together the puzzle of their own downfall. Let them pretend they don't care, while the truth eats them alive from the inside. Because you're already gone. You've already moved beyond them. And the best part? They will spend the rest of their lives trying to figure out how they lost a game they didn't even realize they were playing. That's the beauty of it. They thought you'd forget, but now they'll never forget you. And that's the real nightmare for them, isn't it? Not that you'll come knocking at their door, not that you'll throw fists or scream your rage into the world. No, that's too easy. That's predictable. That's what they'd expect, what they've prepared for. But you're not a fool. You don't waste energy on useless battles. You don't lower yourself to their level. Because the worst punishment isn't pain, it's irrelevance. It's making them realize, piece by piece, day by day, that they no longer hold any power over you, that they don't matter, that their words, their lies, their betrayals, they were nothing more than stepping stones on your path to something greater. That's what will kill them. Not your fists, not your fury, but the fact that you moved on. Because here's the truth. No one likes to admit, the ones who betray you, the ones who try to break you, they need you. They need you to react, to chase, to fight, to validate their importance. Because the moment you let them go, the moment you stop caring, that's when they cease to exist. That's when they realize they weren't as powerful as they thought. And for people like them, for those who built their entire existence around control, around manipulation, around feeding off the pain of others, that's worse than any revenge you could ever dream of. And you don't have time to waste on ghosts. You don't have time to linger in the past, replaying their words, their actions, their empty promises. Because every second you waste on them is a second you could be using to build something better. That's the lesson they never learned. That's the difference between you and them. They destroy. You create. They break. You build. They lie. You live. And in the end, that's what separates the strong from the weak. The ones who survive from the ones who fade into nothing. But make no mistake, there will be days when the memories creep back in. Days when the weight of what they did feels like chains around your throat. Days when the anger, the sadness, the questioning. Why? Why did they do it? Why did they turn on you? Why weren't you enough? Threatens to pull you under. And on those days, you have a choice. You can sink, let them win, let them own even your silence, let their actions dictate your future. Or you can rise. You can take the pain, the loss, the grief, and you can use it, mold it into something stronger. Because that's what warriors do. They don't let wounds fester. They don't let scars define them. They wear them as proof, as armor, as a testament to the fact that they survived what others could not. And you are still here. They thought you'd break. They thought they'd erase you, leave you in pieces, make you nothing more than a memory that fades with time. But time didn't bury you. It sharpened you, turned you into something they'll never understand, something they'll never be able to undo. And that's the price they pay, not today, not tomorrow. But in the end, when they realize you were never theirs to break, because the past, it belongs to them. But the future is yours. And that's what they'll never accept, never be able to wrap their hollow little minds around. The fact that you walked away from the wreckage they left you in and built something they could never touch. They wanted to be the author of your downfall, the architect of your destruction, the ghost in your mind that haunted you forever. But instead, they became a lesson, a warning, a faded scar you carry, not with shame, but with power. And that will torment them in ways they could never have imagined. Because they wanted to matter. They wanted to be significant in your story, and instead, they've been reduced to nothing. Just another mistake you outgrew. Just another shadow in a past that no longer holds you hostage. That's the cruelest part of it all, isn't it? That they were never as important as they believed. They convinced themselves they were your greatest pain, your biggest loss, your deepest wound. But in reality, they were just a stepping stone. One of many. A temporary storm that you endured, survived, and now barely acknowledge. Because that's what happens to people who betray those who truly cared about them. They become ghosts, lost in a world where they no longer have a place. And while they waste their days looking back, trying to figure out where it all went wrong, trying to rewrite history in their favor, you are moving forward, faster, stronger, untouchable. That's the beauty of it, isn't it? They can pretend. They can lie to themselves. They can convince the world that they were the victims, that you were the one who failed, that you were the one who couldn't let go. But deep down, in those moments when no one is watching, when the silence becomes unbearable, they know. They know that they lost something they will never get back. They know that they gambled with something priceless. Your loyalty, your trust, your presence, and they lost. And now they live with that loss every single day, whether they admit it or not. But here's the part that really gets to them. The fact that you don't care anymore, that you don't need their explanations, their apologies, their weak little excuses. You don't need to hear why they did what they did, why they thought it was okay, why they slept soundly while you drowned. Because none of it matters now. None of it ever really did. They were just another lesson. And you You are no longer the person they betrayed. That version of you is gone, buried. And what rose from the ashes? Something they could never control, never manipulate, never hurt again. And so they watch. Oh, they may pretend not to. They may act like they've moved on, like they're too busy, too important, too powerful to care about what you're doing now. But you and I both know the truth. We both know they see you. We both know that every victory you take, every step you climb, every breath you take in defiance of their expectations, it kills them, because they wanted to be the reason you fell. Instead, they became the reason you rose. And now, all they can do is watch as you walk further and further away from the cage they built for you, from the version of yourself they thought would never escape. And that's where their torment truly begins. Not in the moment they betrayed you, not in the moment they laughed while you suffered, not even in the moment they walked away thinking they had won. No, their torment begins now, in the long, empty years ahead, where they are forced to watch you rise, forced to witness the reality they never prepared for. Because in their minds, you were supposed to stay broken. You were supposed to live your life in ruins, dragging yourself through the dirt, begging for closure, for understanding, for some explanation that would never come. That was the future they saw for you. A life defined by their absence. A story where they were the main character. The villain you could never overcome. But you did. And not just that. You thrived. You took everything they did to you and used it as fuel. You let the betrayals, the heartbreak, the suffering harden you, sharpen you, mold you into something unbreakable. And now, they're the ones left in the dust, choking on the consequences of their own actions, because they thought it would be easy. They thought you would crumble and they would move on, free and clear, without a second thought. But the universe has a funny way of working, doesn't it? It doesn't let people like them escape their sins so easily. It doesn't let them erase the past just because it's inconvenient. No, the past follows them, stalks them, crawls into their mind late at night when everything is quiet, whispering reminders of what they did, of what they lost, of what they can never undo. And that's the part they didn't anticipate. They thought you'd be the one stuck in the past, reliving the pain over and over again. But now, they're the ones who can't escape it. They're the ones looking over their shoulder, wondering if they made the wrong choice, wondering if they'll ever find something real again. Because here's the thing, people like them. They never win in the end. They think they do at first. They get away with their betrayal. They get to rewrite the story. They get to move on while the people they hurt are left behind picking up the pieces. But then something happens. The truth catches up. Reality sets in. And they realize they didn't just lose you. They lost everything you brought with you. Because you weren't just another person in their life. You weren't just another name, another forgettable face, another stepping stone they could discard without consequence. No, you were different. You were real. You were loyal in ways they will never understand, in ways they will never experience again. And now that you are gone, truly gone, they start to see the difference. They start to notice the emptiness, the hollowness, the lack of something they once took for granted. They start to realize that everyone else around them is shallow, temporary, nothing like what they had with you. And the worst part, they will never have it again. Because once you betray someone like you, there is no going back. There is no second chance. There is only regret. And that regret, that's the slow poison that will eat away at them for the rest of their lives. It won't come all at once. No, that would be too easy. It will come in pieces, in flashes, in little moments when they least expect it. A song, a place, a conversation, a face in the crowd that reminds them of you. And suddenly, they'll feel it. That ache, that emptiness, that realization that they can never go back to the way things were. And it will drive them mad. Because people like them, they don't know how to live with regret. They don't know how to face the truth. They spent their whole lives running from it, covering it up with lies, distractions, temporary pleasures. But some ghosts don't go away. Some mistakes don't get buried. Some losses never stop hurting. And you? You don't have to do a thing. You don't have to reach out. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to prove anything. You just have to keep going. Because every step you take, every success you achieve, every moment you live without them, it's another dagger in their heart, another reminder that they were wrong, that they bet against the wrong person, that they thought they could break you, only to realize they only built you. And now they have to live with that knowledge every single day. And that is justice. No revenge, no anger, no wasted breath, just you existing, thriving, moving forward, while they are left behind, trapped in the prison of their own making, shackled by their own regrets, haunted by the one thing they never wanted to admit. They needed you more than you ever needed them. They thought you'd forget, but now they will never forget you.